Today is my mom's birthday, and so I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to get to make a video about my mom and my mother-in-law and my grandmom and my grandma and my Grammy. And really I just wish I could make a video about all of my sisters and my sister-in-laws and my cousins, my aunts, and my sister friends, my teachers, just people who have absolutely made me who I am. And as I was pondering, just preparing for this, I was just amazed by the caliber of women that have surrounded me my whole life. I just felt so blessed. I think remembering is like one of my top 5 favorite things to do because I get to means back again. You know, it's like I get to plant those things in my heart. I get to feel them again. I get to experience them again, and it just multiplies the love and the joy. The bugs are waking up. It's been pretty rainy, but today is so nice. So, my mom. Where could I even start? Again, as I was pondering about what I could say, just all these memories just flooded me. I think I laid there for like hours after nursing our baby, just flashing through all these times with my mom and my grandmas. And so I think the first actual real memory that doesn't have to do with the photograph that's like in my picture album that I have of my mom is this one time I decided I was gonna run away. It was like before I started school, so I must have been like 4, maybe even 3. But I was super little, and I like packed this bag and I went and sat across the road. It was super hot. It was in the summertime, and I remember my mom came out and gave me a hat. She came out and gave me a little cup of water, you know, asking me how I was doing, you know, if I had decided how I was gonna get to Grandma's house, and and I don't even remember why I was running away, but just something. But she wasn't mad at me, you know, she just let me learn for myself that I couldn't walk to my grandma's house, and she just tried to support me in the ways she could, you know, lovingly. And I think I even got to go spend the night at my grandma's house after that. But that's something that I have learned from my mom, is patience. To love someone in patience. I definitely learned from my mom how to like have traditions for the family. I love like holidays, celebrating things. She has so many ideas for everything, and she like has the drive to see them to fruition. She's an amazing event planner. You know, she loves camping, and she's done girls camp for, I don't even know, like 40 years or something, like almost 40 years. And she just planned, like she just knows all the details, just everything that goes into it, and just thinks of every little thing that makes it better for the people, just have an amazing experience. She did that for us growing up too, just like creating these experiences for us that were meaningful and would impact us, you know, watching the sunrise on the roof for Easter, or, you know, Christmas caroling to all of our neighbors, and service projects and plays. She would, when we were super little, and I guess growing up too, but we did these plays and we would take them around and show people. We did for like talent shows in our community, she would make all these elaborate costumes with my dad, and she would make up these dances. I remember watching her watch The Newsies. You know that movie, The Newsies? Over and over again, this one dance part, and she memorized it. She was a ballerina growing up. So was my mother-in-law, actually. So that's kind of cool. Both of them were ballerinas, and they're both librarians. My mom is an elementary school librarian. She's definitely a friend of children. Just knows the right questions to ask, and gets down on their level and takes people seriously. She definitely doesn't suffer from ageism. And so kids respond to that, being taken seriously, and she shows up for them. She finds ways to make it meaningful. She thinks about it. Okay, what books should my library have? What would be the best ones? And what ones am I not going to include? That's something that I have watched my mom do all growing up, is what to not include. I think that's a valuable skill. I also learned about emergency preparedness from her and my dad. I remember practicing fire drills with our family, and we always had our 72-hour kits that we rotated every 6 months, and just the organization that goes into having 8 children. She's amazing. Just so amazing. The stamina. I mean, how many science fair projects did that woman complete? I term papers and history. I'm just merit badges. All my brothers are Eagle Scouts, and all my sisters and I went through all of the, girl achievement programs in my community growing up. And so that was my mom. She was the driving force, literally the driving force, and my dad too. And she's fun. She's so funny, and she loves to talk and laugh, and she would do anything for anyone. Sometimes, even to her own detriment, just, yeah. So she's really good at organizing things and planning things, and she loves to read. She loves music. We always had music. Music was a part of everything all growing up. She's studious, dutiful. Oh my. I remember when I was little looking through her jewelry box at each of the special things that she had, that she saved. If I think of something else, I'll bring it up, but my mom's awesome. Just awesome. And okay, what's some of my favorite things about my mother-in-law? She is always ready for anything. She loves to play games, and she'll, kick the ball around with anyone, and she's up for anything. She loves learning too. She loves learning, and she loves hosting. She plays the piano and the organ, which is super cool. And she loves decorating. She's so good at decorating. Finding just the right thing for just the right place. And she's a homemaker, for sure. My mom is too. Just kind of in a different way. I love seeing both of their examples. And that really is so funny that they were both a ballerina and librarian. My brother-in-law studied library science in college, actually. But, family history. That's what I was going to talk about. Both of them are into family history, kind of in different ways, but my mom loves family history. Loves family history. That's like, if I had to name 5 things that she was about, one of them is family history. And like, I remember this one time as a teenager waking up super early to go to seminary. And I came out of my room and she was sitting at the computer and I was like, "Sup, Mom?" And she was like, "Yeah, I stayed up all night." I just found this line and I just like had to go there, and she was like printing something off from the computer. And I was just like, wow, that is dedication. That's an amazing example. I mean, that's her personality, you know. Once she gets started on something, wow, if she gets into something, she does it really well. She loves book clubs and exercising. I always saw my mom exercising, you know, taking walks and doing aerobics and hiking and just all the things. She was always conscious of her health, making sure that we were healthy, you know, and I do this with my kids too, like eating vegetables and fruit, you know. I remember my granddad giving my mom broccoli money. She's resourceful. Oh, okay. I know I kind of moved on to my mother-in-law, but I want to go back to my mom for a minute. She is like literally the most resourceful person that I know. I mean, we were not very well off growing up, but wow, my mom could make things last and make them stretch and make them work and just, yeah, so resourceful. Absolutely. That's another thing. Like if I had to name 5 things. There you go. Resourceful. Okay, so what else about my mother-in-law? Again, if I think of anything else, I'll just come back to it. But my grandmom. So my mom's mom. She is one of my favorite people ever. I love her so much, and I am so grateful for her example. She loves people. My mom does too. Just like when I was 8, my grandma made me a quilt, and she wrote this letter about, you know, if you're ever sad or lonely, then just wrap up in the quilt and just imagine that I'm giving you a big hug and that I'm listening as you can tell me what's wrong. And I did that. I wrapped up in that quilt from my grandmom so many times, and I still have it. Ooh, hello, little friend. And she has literally saved me several times, like when there was just no one else could do what she did for me. Like this one time, this is just one example of many. We were living in Southern California, and they lived a few hours away, like a couple hours away. And my older sister, like we were pregnant at the same time, and my older sister had just had a baby. And so my mom couldn't come to my house, but my baby came. And so like I called a friend and was like, "Hey, can you come like stay at my house until my grandmom and granddad can get here?" And so she came and stayed for a couple hours, and then they just came. They dropped everything that they were doing, and they just drove to our house and stayed with our kids because we would go and visit every once in a while or once a month or something, and they would watch the kids for a couple of hours while Kent and I went somewhere, and they would just do anything. And she was born, so our third child was born on my grandmom's birthday. And so they just have this special little connection all growing up. And I think my grandmom was born on like her great uncle's birthday or something. So she gave this little silver bracelet that he had given her to our daughter. So that was cool. I mean, Grandmom is so creative. She always just makes us the most amazing things. She made our wedding cake. We had 2 wedding cakes, the bride's cake and the groom's cake, and she made them. You know, when Kent and I did this, my husband and I did this pioneer reenactment thing, and I told her about it, and she made me a dress. She made my pioneer dress for me. You know, had me send her the measurements, and she made it for me, and it was beautiful, and all these people commented on it because they were wearing like the little podunk ones from that have been used a ton of times, and I was like, in my beautiful homemade dress. And she made us dresses growing up too that I still have, and like my daughters have worn them, you know. So wow, the bugs are really coming to visit me. What am I attracting? Yeah, she's just incredible. And my grandma, so my dad's mom, the one whose house I was running away to, she's a beautician. She could talk. One of my daughters also wants to be a beautician. And yeah, she just, every time we came to her house, I remember she had these little vitamin C tablets. And she would give us these little vitamin C tablets. She would make things for us, Jell-O and juicy cake and brownies, and just, there were always good things to eat at Grandma's house. My grandmom's too, but I remember their house was more about going to the beach because they lived by the ocean. But yeah, my grandma, she was always sewing us little outfits, and yeah. Oh, I remembered a story I want to tell about my grandmom. So she's so cool. She's just such a cool woman. I remember this one time she came to a race. I was running. It was like in the town where she was living. And I don't remember, my mom must have told her about it or something, but I just remember coming over this hill and seeing this woman standing, and she had this bright red hat, this big red hat. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Red Hat Society, but she is like the epitome of that. And I was like, my grandma and granddad are here to cheer me on at the race. And they just cheered for me, and they bought me a t-shirt, and I just felt so loved that they would, you know, just take time out of their day and come see my race and just be so visible about it. And yeah, both of my grandmas, my grandma and my grandmom, both are very well dressed. Like they put together outfits, you know, they always look nice, like their color scheme, you know, I remember this one time, I made books for all of my grandparents. Like I wrote books about them, like a kid's book to read to my children about them and their childhood. And I wanted to use this one picture of my grandma, and she said, no, that's not quite my color. Like, I want to use this other picture because it's just better coloring for me. And I was like, yes, yes. They're just awesome. And I get my height from my grandma, my dad's mom. She's super tall. And I mean, by the time that I grew to my full height, I was taller than her. I don't know if she like shrunk a little bit or if she was actually 6 feet tall at one point, but you know, she loved horses. She was very athletic, and both of them were in theater. I definitely get that from them, both of them. My grandmom maybe a little more than my grandma, but she played the viola, and her dad was a farmer, so she worked hard. She knew how to work hard. She and my grandpa they saved everything, you know, they made things last, and just, yeah, they're awesome. And my Grammy, my grandmom's mom, in truth, I kind of grew up kind of terrified of her. I don't know if that was actually her fault or just like, we always had to be so like good when we went to her house. You know, whenever we would drive through St. George, we always had to be on our best behavior. And so I kind of was scared of her growing up. And even as an adult, I just always felt like, okay, Grammy's, I gotta be straight-laced or something with Grammy. And I remember this one time I was sharing about that I didn't want to buy weapons for my kids to play with, you know, like to have like a toy gun. I didn't want my then like 2-year-old son to have a toy gun. And she said, well, that boy needs to learn reality. And I was like, okay, Grammy, I don't want that to be his reality. And she she knows I love her. I'm not making fun of her, but it was just funny. So, yeah. See what I mean? Remembering is the best. I love getting to bring these things back and hold them in my heart because it just multiplies the joy of it. And it's like when you thread a needle and like you're gonna sew on a button, you know, and you re-thread that and it makes it a stronger loop, stronger tie, so that the button stays. That's what remembering is like for me. It strengthens my love for them. It strengthens our connection. I remember the night before my grandma Hanson passed away. And all of my kids, another bug, all of my kids except 2 got to meet my Grammy. So hopefully she passed on that longevity to me. But the night before my grandma passed away, I was praying for her. I knew she was having a hard time. She'd been having a hard time, and I was praying for her. And as I went to sleep, I just imagined her sitting in her chair. She had this chair, and just kind of like laying back her head, and she closed her eyes, and I dreamed of her that night. And when I woke up the next morning, I got a text message that she had passed away. And I just knew she was coming to say, see you later. Because the last time that I got to see her alive in this life, she didn't really recognize me. You know, she never said my name. I was pregnant with our 5th. And she just kept saying, oh, it's so good to see you. It's so nice of you to visit. But she was already kind of gone, you know? But I loved getting to be with her that one last time and then getting to say day in that dream. So there you have it. my stories, my memories, my love and appreciation for the heritage that has been passed to me, all the learnings, just taking what's best, receiving what's best from each of them. Happy birthday, Mom!